Now I know what a lot of you Banjo fans are thinking, nuts and bolts? Ew! But bear with me. See what I did there? Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, the Bear and Bird duo's last adventure, was released on Microsoft's Xbox 360 way back in 2008. And it is packed to the brim with little Easter eggs, nods to not only other Banjo titles, but other games in Rare's collective universe. And I'm all about that Rare universe. So grab your backpacks, let's go, jump in, vamonos! It's time for the mysteries of Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. I want to start with something strange I found in Spiral Mountain in relation to the Waterfall Hole. If you've played Banjo Kazooie and banjo-tooie, you'll probably recognize the waterfall area. In Tooie, you could actually fly up and enter this to find a game cartridge for the stop and swap items. In Nuts and Bolts, you can come up to the same hole and find the metal gate area destroyed. Here's what's weird about this area. There's an opening above where the water would come through. Through this opening, you can see the skybox, but the hole? It's not there. Let me explain. I took the liberty of going down an unnecessary rabbit hole to see where it goes. I tried the item on your cart flying technique, which is putting an item on your cart, standing on the item, and then you can grab your cart with the magic wrench. This will make you fly. But if you ascend to the hole, you get blocked by a wall. And if you attempt to find it on the outside by exploring on top of the mountain, you won't find it. It's not there. It may be silly, but it's a mystery where this hole goes. This is something that as a kid would have really bothered me, and I guess since it's in this video, it still does. The hole is a lie. Another mystery in Spiral Mountain comes in the form of a somewhat familiar face, Bawl the Onion. In the original Banjo Kazooie, we fight several types of vegetables in Spiral Mountain as beginning tutorial enemies that aren't really a threat, but help us to utilize our newly learned moves. We didn't see them again in Banjo-Tooie, and according to Rare, they were arrested by the rubbish video game character police, along with some other familiar faces. But somehow, Bawl makes his return, and only him alone. But upon closer inspection, you can see he's got a wind-up gearbox. I don't remember that from previous games. This means they're not the same Bawl we see in Banjo-Kazooie. The question then becomes, where did they come from, and for what purpose? Well, since Log created all these worlds and has a focus on robots and gears, I believe they are his creation, and the reason why they look like the onions we're familiar with was so Banjo wouldn't think twice. Log's been spying on them and the events of Spiral Mountain the whole time, waiting for an opportunity to end the feud between Grunty and Banjo once and for all. And when Grunty finally shows up, now was the chance. All of these Bawl are spies for Log. It begs the question, are there any other wind-up enemies in Rare titles that could be spies for him as well? Moving on to Banjoland, a very nostalgic throwback to the games before it, Banjoland packs a lot of small Easter eggs and details. As you approach the Freeze Easy Peak Snowman, or what's left of him, you can catch a glimpse of what appears to be one of the mystery eggs from Stop and Swap. Also, you can find a giant disc that says Stop and Swap, indicating it's a piece of the puzzle that we never got before. You may think that's all, but as you climb up a bit and get to a different perspective, you actually can now see a nice ice key which you can have for free. You can also find other Stop and Swap eggs in Banjoland, and if you manage to pick one up or mess with it, it will explode and reveal an enemy inside of it. That explodes itself. Did you know that if you do all the Stop and Swap stuff in Banjo Kazooie on the Xbox Arcade, you actually can unlock blueprints and parts in Nuts and Bolts? Around Showdown Town, you can find these secret areas with a stop and swap icon on them. That's where they'll show up. And even Bottles has an option to purchase the truth about stop and swap for 6,000 notes, though there aren't even that many in the game. The dialogue that would play if you can get it is, "I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you," and we couldn't show that in a game with this rating. Put it out of your mind and think happy thoughts. Thanks for the notes. Lame. Scrapped enemies. Another cool detail can be found in Banjoland if you navigate to the Mad Monster Mansion section. In it, you can see a bunch of tombstones. If you look, some are a reference to Ripper, the tombstone enemies from Banjo Kazooie, but some have what appear to be pictures of enemies on them, and on the back, a word. These are actually images of scrapped enemy concepts, and the word on the back describes their function. Generators, droppers, possessors, blockers, and whirlwinders. Moving past Banjoland, let's look at some rare connections. Nuts and Bolts has many, and I mean many, references to other games like Grab by the Ghoulies, Viva Pinata, and Cameo, with Grab by the Ghoulies perhaps having the most references in this game, and those references directly connect the worlds of Banjo and Ghoulies. The first reference to other games we can see is in the dumpster at Banjo's house. While we can see a fun nod to the Whatnot from Cameo and a Fudge Hog from Viva Pinata, we can also see Mr. Ribs' head. Poor Mr. Ribs. But that's not all. We also see many times the game case for Ghoulies on the original Xbox throughout the game, especially in Banjoland. We also see the game disc itself in Logbox 720 along with Viva Pinata and a disc version of the Banjo Kazooie Xbox Arcade Edition. And at the very end, we see some teaser spoof game titles for Ghoulies 2, Viva Pinata Kart, Battletoads 2010, Cake Filler Instinct, and Banjo Kazooie Bash Buddies, when Grunty is working in Log's factory. And that's still not all. Various restaurants and areas in town are direct references to Grab by the Ghoulies, like Mrs. Soup's Will's Ice Cream and Mr. Ribs' Barbecue Ribs. And the piece de resistance? Ghoul Haven Hall itself visible off in the distance. Having the straight-up location from Grab by the Ghoulies in the world Banjo can traverse indicates that yes, these two games in particular are connected. But also in Ghoulies we see plenty of references to Banjo and his adventures as well. Viva Pinata also gets a further reference with a Lickatoad as an optional part for your vehicles, and even at the very beginning of the game we can hear the theme of Windy from Conker's Bad Fur Day on the radio. The question now is, are these games all taking place in the same world? Is Showdown Town on the Isle o' Hags? Or is this a completely different part of the world? I actually believe the entire world is connected, and these portals can lead to different areas where everything takes place for specific games. Showdown Town itself actually is very close to the events of Grab by the Ghoulies, which is why we see more references to it than any other game. I assume that these portals can lead to Viva Pinata, Cameo, and Banjo's parts of the world as well. They're all connected, and not in separate dimensions or anything weird like that, just one big world, which is why Blubber crash-landed in the saucer in Showdown Town. It's not a town that Log just created. Well, he may have, but it's connected to the world of Banjo Kazooie and the Isle o' Hags physically. Now let's talk about Grunty's new body. In the beginning of the game, Grunty's just a head as it continues the story of Banjo-Tooie. But she is given a new body, one that is seemingly part mechanical with her head floating in the center. You'll notice something strange though. I myself was always curious as to why the arms weren't mechanical but actually green. So this new body is also organic in nature? At least partly. Why not one way or the other? Log is capable of creating organic life in addition to mechanical. We actually see him turn Banjo into a Lickatoad from Viva Pinata and Grunty into a pumpkin at the beginning of the game. So he does have the magical capability. For some reason, he decided to give her body organic skin on the arms. Maybe it's just a creative choice? But in offering a slightly darker idea, do you think he could have actually found her previous body parts and reanimated them? Banjo's body went from fat to skinny with a poof, but Grunty's body was pre-made and walked up to receive her head. It feels like it's possible that could be her old body because it even has her old clothes, and they were repaired as evidenced by the stitching. The choice for green arms just feels like maybe Log wanted the authenticity of her actual body for nostalgic purposes, since he seems to be all about that. Jolly Dodger. I can't help but feel I should question the background because of the fact Jolly Roger, a flamboyant but successful business owner, is now doing crime. He's selling items on the black market. Evidently jiggies, or at least jiggy smuggling, is illegal in this world. But is that all? No. Jolly Roger is actually also a video game smuggler, which is probably why he's an outlaw. He's directly stealing from Log. He's peddling unreleased games like Killer Instinct 3. Interestingly, Jolly Roger has a series of hotels throughout Showdown Town. So if Jolly has successful businesses, why does he need to deal in the black market? Perhaps he just gave in to temptation and is trying to make a bit of extra money on the side, since he's acquiring these games easy enough through his role in Logbox 720. And the jiggies can help us. Maybe he's trying to be a pal. And he ends up with some notes to support his businesses in the end. Log, previous appearance? Log is an acronym and it stands for Lord of Games. He is self-stated to be the grand creator of video games. He makes many references to other games, including Mario. One particular dialogue sequence is very interesting. When asked why Log has never been seen or heard of before, he replies with, "I am very good at disguising myself," and then goes on to say, "Pet my piglet," which is something Fiddlesworth says in Grab by the Ghoulies. Log directly implied that he was that person, which could be why he had all those crazy inventions to help us, and Ghoulhaven Hall is close by. This brings up speculation as to maybe he's possibly other characters in past Rare games. A Krazoa spirit, perhaps? It's been pointed out they have very similar builds. I also have an idea that maybe he appears with references to Banjo Kazooie, so if you see any Banjo Kazooie related things, Log is somewhere around there in disguise. Take like the Cock and Plucker in Conker's Bad Fur Day, perhaps. Maybe he's a character in the bar. This may even open up Log to being in other titles connected to Banjo, like Diddy Kong Racing. Any character could be Log in disguise. Do you have any ideas? Banjo's origin confirmed? This may be a small detail, but it could have a big impact, and there was already speculation. In Diddy Kong Racing, it's stated that Diddy met up with Banjo along the way to go help timber on his island, indicating that Banjo was living somewhere close by relative to Diddy Kong. Lots of people see the similarities between Banjo and the Brothers Bear, who live in the northern Kremisphere in Donkey Kong Country 3, and there's been speculation that Banjo comes from this area. When you chat with Boggy in Nuts and Bolts and end the conversation, he will say, "Thank you and goodbye, Brother Bear." That's a little bit too specific to not be a nod. He could have said brother itself, or fellow bear, but Brother Bear? Maybe it's just more speculation, or maybe Banjo is in fact a brother's bear. Well, that's all I have for you. I hope you'll drop a like in this video to help spread my content. Please take the time to do so. It really helps me out, and I appreciate it. And if you haven't, please subscribe so you don't miss a future upload. I have plenty more videos where this came from. Maybe take a peek at another while you're at it. Until next time, have a good one.